Captain Eli sat in the command chair of the starship Aurora's Edge, his eyes scanning the endless void outside the viewport. The galaxy stretched before him in black and silver, dotted with the faint glimmer of distant suns. Around him, the alien survey team worked quietly, each absorbed in their own station. Screens blinked, sensors hummed, and the ship moved like a silent predator through the remains of a star system long dead. Eli's crew was not like most humans or any other species in the galaxy. They were a coalition of explorers from distant worlds, all drawn together by curiosity, by the thrill of discovering what had come before. And yet, this star system had something different about it. It was not just abandoned. It felt wrong. Every planet they visited was lifeless. Craters and ruins stretched for hundreds of kilometers. Cities lay in pieces, structures half buried in sand or ice, metal corroded, glass shattered. There was no sign of struggle, no weapons left behind, no signs of disease. Only silence. And on each planet, they found the same thing, a stone monument, perfectly preserved, etched with a single warning in a language they had never seen before, but their translation programs worked. The words were always the same: "Never wake Earth's warriors." It was Eli who first noticed it, sitting hunched over the translation console, staring at the glowing letters that shone softly under the ship's lights. He touched the console lightly, almost as if he could feel the words themselves. "Eli," said Jara, the team linguist, her tentacle-like fingers brushing over her own console, "look at this. Every civilization we've found, every single one, has left this same warning." Eli nodded, rubbing his temples. "I know. I've seen it. Every ruined planet has the same phrase, carved into stone, metal, or crystal. And no two civilizations were close to each other in space. Yet somehow they all knew." "Known what?" asked Rin, a young engineer with bright, curious eyes. "Known who we're talking about." Eli looked at him, trying to explain the feeling he couldn't put into words. "I don't know, but it's more than a warning. It feels alive, like someone or something is still watching, even though it's been gone for 1,000 years. Maybe more." The team fell silent for a moment, letting the weight of Eli's words sink in. The only sounds were the low hum of the ship and the soft beeping of the monitors. Jara leaned forward. "We have records from the last 4 planets. Every time a civilization ignored the warning, they disappeared. No survivors, no traces left behind. Only the warning remained. And the ruins." Eli frowned. "Disappear how?" "Completely," Jara said. "One moment they existed, the next gone. Their technology, their cities, their records, nothing. It's as if the universe itself erased them." A chill ran down Eli's spine. He looked out the viewport again, staring at the broken remains of the nearest planet. Craters stretched like scars across the surface. Twisted towers leaned at impossible angles. The light of a nearby star reflected off broken glass, glinting like the eyes of something awake in the dark. Rin broke the silence. "So, we're supposed to just leave Earth alone? Never check if humans are still around?" Eli shook his head slowly. "It's not about leaving them alone. It's about understanding what we're dealing with. If every civilization that came across this warning vanished, we need to figure out why before we take any risks. We don't even know if humans are alive, if they're asleep, or if they're something else entirely." The ship moved closer to the next planet, a world covered in ice, its surface cracked and scarred. Sensors showed no life, no energy signatures, nothing to suggest anything alive remained. Yet, as they descended, the familiar monolith appeared near the center of a shattered city. A single, massive slab of dark stone rose from the ice like a finger pointing to the sky. The words were carved deep, glowing faintly under the alien translation scanners. Eli's fingers itched to touch it, to see if it would reveal more secrets. He had the same feeling here, as he had on the other planets, that the warning was more than a warning. It was a presence. "This is incredible," murmured Jara, her voice barely above a whisper. The craftsmanship, the precision, the same message, all across the galaxy. Whoever left this knew something no one else did, and they wanted everyone to know. Eli nodded, his jaw tight.
Yes.
And they were right to warn them. We've seen the evidence. Entire civilizations erased. And yet, here we are, curious as ever. Rin shivered. Do you ever wonder what happens if we ignore the warning? Eli leaned back in his chair, eyes still on the monolith. I don't want to find out, he said honestly. That's the problem. We've seen the ruins. We've seen what happens when the warning is ignored. If humans are still out there, asleep or hidden, we could be waking something we cannot control. Something far beyond anything we've ever faced. The team worked in silence as the Aurora's edge moved over the icy surface, sending scanners deep into the frozen ruins below. Broken buildings and streets lay beneath, crisscrossed with cracks that stretched for miles. Every so often, the scanners picked up faint energy traces, weak pulses that the instruments could barely measure. They're not completely gone, Jara whispered, eyes wide. Something's still here. Eli felt his heartbeat quicken. Then it's exactly what we feared. We are standing on a world where humans may still exist. And the warning wasn't just about history.
It was about now.
And us. The thought hung in the air. Every alien on the ship felt it, a tension they had never experienced before. They had explored dead worlds before, encountered the ruins of lost civilizations, even dealt with dangerous phenomena. But this was different. The warning carried weight. It carried power. And it carried a memory older than most species in the galaxy. Eli turned to the crew. We need to proceed carefully. We observe.
We scan.
We learn. But we do not provoke. Understood? Yes, Captain, they said in unison, voices steady but tinged with unease. The ship hovered over the ice for hours, scanning, measuring, recording. And though no human stepped forward, no sound came from below, the feeling persisted. It was as if the ruins themselves were watching, holding their breath, waiting for something. At one point, Eli allowed himself a small smile, though it did not reach his eyes. We may never understand this, he said softly. But one thing is clear. Whatever humans were, whatever they are, we are not ready for them. Not yet. Outside the viewport, the monolith gleamed faintly under the cold light of the distant star. Its message was simple, yet terrifying. Never wake Earth's warriors. And for the first time, Eli understood that the warning was not for humans. It was for anyone who dared to come too close, anyone who thought they could measure what they could not. Curiosity warred with caution in his mind. He wanted to see, to know, to understand. But deep down, he knew that some mysteries were meant to remain untouched. Some powers were not for the curious, not for the ambitious, and not for the brave. And somewhere, deep beneath the ice and stone, something waited. Eli did not know if it was alive, asleep, or dreaming. But he knew it was powerful. And he knew that the universe had made one rule clear. Some forces were meant to be left alone. The bridge of the Aurora's edge hummed with tension. Outside, the stars stretched in endless blackness, distant suns casting pale light over the fractured planets below. Captain Eli stood near the viewport, silent, watching the patterns of ruined worlds they had just passed. But the quiet was tense, not peaceful. It was the kind of quiet that warned something unseen was waiting, watching. Admiral Clara's voice broke the silence. We continue to Earth, she said firmly, her tone leaving no room for argument. She paced the bridge with a measured step, her uniform sharp, her eyes bright with determination. That is the next target. The coordinates match the old warning. The humans must be there. And if they are, we need them. Eli turned to face her, feeling the weight of her words settle heavily over the bridge. We don't even know if humans are alive, he said. Or if they are, what state they're in. You've seen the ruins we visited. Every civilization that ignored the warning vanished completely. Do you really want to risk that? Clara stopped and turned, her eyes narrowing. And sit here doing nothing? Every planet we've seen holds the same story. Entire civilizations erased. But maybe humans survived. Maybe they are strong, disciplined, and powerful. If so, we could control a weapon no one else in the galaxy could even imagine. From his station, scientist Toby leaned forward, worry etched across his face. Admiral, you don't understand. These warnings are not a suggestion. They are a rule. Something made civilizations vanish completely. Entire worlds, all life gone. If humans are alive, they are dangerous beyond our understanding. We cannot simply approach them like this. Clara's lips tightened. And if we don't approach them, someone else will. We risk falling behind. I am not letting caution rule our expedition. Humans could be the key to every battle, every war, every threat in this galaxy. We cannot ignore that possibility. Eli rubbed his temples. He had seen Clara's kind of determination before. She had always been fearless, stubborn, willing to risk everything for what she believed. But this was different. This was the unknown. Rin, the young engineer, spoke up from his console. Admiral, with all respect, we don't know what humans are capable of. All we have are ruins and warnings. Are you saying we should take that risk? Clara's gaze swept over the crew. We will not know unless we go. History will not wait for us to be cautious. The galaxy does not reward fear. Toby shook his head. You call it fear. I call it survival. Every civilization that ignored the warning is gone.
Gone.
We are looking at a pattern, a lesson the universe has already written. Ignoring it is not bravery. It is foolishness. And it could cost us everything. Eli stepped closer, putting a hand on Toby's console. We need a plan. A proper observation plan. We cannot simply storm in without knowing what we are facing. If humans exist, if they are awake, we may not survive a direct confrontation. Clara crossed her arms. And if we wait too long, the humans may awaken on their own. We could be too late, and then all our enemies, every fleet, every civilization out there, will gain the advantage. Do you understand? Humans are potentially the greatest weapon in the galaxy. We are not here to take a risk. We are here to take the opportunity. Toby's voice dropped almost to a whisper. And if this is not an opportunity but a trap, the universe has already warned us. Should we ignore that? Clara's eyes flashed. Then we survive it. And if we don't, at least we will have tried. Fear will not save us. Eli stayed silent for a moment, watching the stars move past the ship. He understood both sides, the caution, the fear, the drive to survive. And he understood Clara. She always saw possibility before danger. But in his chest, a cold unease settled. There was a difference between exploring unknown worlds and challenging something that had already destroyed countless civilizations. He turned to Jara, the linguist. We need all translations from the ruins we visited. Every phrase, every symbol. We need patterns, details, something that could help us understand what this warning really means. Jara nodded, fingers flying over the console. I've compiled all the data from the last 4 planets. The message is always identical. Simple words. But the language itself, it is older than anything we've seen. The craftsmanship of the etchings is precise, almost alive. Like it was designed to survive eternity. Rin frowned. Alive? You mean like energy or something? Not energy, Jara replied carefully. More like intention. Purpose. Whoever or whatever made these warnings made sure they would be seen, understood, and remembered. There is care in the message. A rule. And rules are made to be followed. Clara's impatience rose. And yet, every civilization ignored it. Yes, Toby said sharply. And every civilization paid the price. The bridge fell silent again. Even Rin, who loved a good challenge, felt the tension. The words of the warning echoed in their minds, a constant hum beneath the hum of the ship. Never wake Earth's warriors. Simple words, but heavy with meaning. Eli returned to the viewport, staring at the small blue, far ahead in the distance. Earth. The origin of the warning. The last possible home of humans. His mind raced with questions. Were humans extinct? Were they hiding? Or were they waiting, dormant, biding their time, as the warning suggested? He could almost feel a presence, watching them from the distance, unseen yet palpable. It was not fear he felt, it was caution, respect. Something told him that the humans were not to be underestimated. Clara walked over and stood beside him, silent for a moment. Then she said softly, "Do you think we are overthinking this, Eli?" He shook his head slowly. "I think we have no idea what we are dealing with. And I think whatever humans were, whatever they were powerful enough to make the galaxy listen. That warning is not a suggestion. It is a command, and it has survived countless millennia." She looked at him with a slight smile. "Then it is fortunate we are not like every other civilization. We do not vanish at the first warning. We find opportunity where others see danger." Eli didn't answer immediately. He could not shake the feeling that they were walking a fine line, one step away from history repeating itself. Still, he knew that arguing with Clara was pointless. She would push forward, no matter the risk. The Aurora's edge descended slowly through the thin clouds of Earth's atmosphere. From orbit, the planet looked peaceful, almost gentle, with blue oceans and green forests stretching endlessly. But the closer Eli and his team came, the more they saw the scars of time. Nature had reclaimed everything. Towering cities lay in ruins, half swallowed by vines and trees. Cracked streets were rivers now, carrying water through hollowed-out buildings. It was as if the world itself had turned against the work of its creators. Captain Eli pressed his hand against the cold glass of the viewport, staring at the remnants of humanity's once great cities. "It's quiet," he said, almost to himself. "Too quiet." Jara, the linguist, peered over his shoulder. "It's been centuries," she said softly. "Nature always wins in the end." Rin shook his head, his voice full of nervous energy. "It doesn't feel empty. Not completely. There's something beneath it all. Like the ruins are hiding a heartbeat." Eli didn't answer. He already felt it. Something in the ruins wasn't gone. Something waited. Something that had survived when everything else had fallen. The team landed in the center of what had once been a massive city. Crumbling skyscrapers loomed over them, their windows shattered, streets littered with debris. The air was thick with silence. The only sound was the soft hum of the ship's engines and the crunch of broken glass under their boots. As they moved through the streets, the scanners picked up something strange beneath the rubble. It was faint at first, almost like a glitch in the instruments, but as they approached, the readings became clearer. Energy, deep and steady, pulsing slowly beneath the ground. "Captain," Toby said, pointing at the scanner display. "You're going to want to see this. Whatever this is, it's not natural." Eli knelt beside the readout. "Show me." The scanner pointed to a large building, mostly collapsed, its roof caved in. The readings came from below, in what appeared to be a hidden facility. Carefully, the team cleared the debris and opened a reinforced door, the metal creaking loudly. Inside, they found a room filled with stasis pods. Rows of them lined the walls, each one dark and silent, frost covering the glass. Jara's voice trembled slightly. This is incredible. Whoever built these, they weren't just hiding people. They were preserving them, waiting for something. Rin leaned closer to one of the pods, brushing his hand over the frosted glass. "They're all asleep?" "Not just asleep," Toby said, adjusting the scanner. "They're in stasis. Perfect preservation. These humans, they were frozen for a reason. Something told whoever made this that the world wasn't safe yet." Eli's eyes swept over the room, lingering on one pod in particular. It flickered suddenly, a faint blue light glowing within the frost. Eli stepped closer, a chill running down his spine. The energy readings from this pod were different, stronger, sharper, alive. "Captain," Jara whispered, her voice barely audible. "This one is active. Something is happening." The pod hissed and cracked slightly as the frost began to recede. Inside, a figure stirred. He was tall, his body long and lean, with calm, deliberate movements. His eyes opened slowly, glowing faintly in the dim light. He did not speak. He did not move further. He simply watched, surveying the room, the team, the ship, as if calculating every detail in a single instant. Eli took a careful step back, his voice low. Everyone stay calm. Do not make sudden movements. Observe, but do not provoke. The humans on the team felt the weight of the figure's gaze, though they could not understand it fully. His presence filled the room with a quiet authority. Liam, because that was the name Jara read from a small plaque beside the pod, was alive, awake, and aware in a way that no one could ignore. He tilted his head slightly, scanning each member of the team with unspoken precision. There was no fear in his eyes, no hesitation. Only observation. Only waiting. Rin whispered, "He's analyzing us." Jara nodded. "It's instinct. He's a warrior. He knows we are intruders. He's calculating threats and possibilities." Eli swallowed hard, feeling the gravity of the situation settle over him like a heavy cloak. "Toby, get the scanners ready. We need every reading we can get. But remember, we do not interfere. We do not provoke him." Toby nodded, fingers flying over the console. The machines hummed, taking every possible measurement of Liam's vitals, energy output, even subtle movements. Everything about him was precise, disciplined, and deadly. Liam finally moved, but slowly, deliberately. He stepped out of the pod, his feet touching the ground with controlled power. He did not speak. He did not demand. He simply observed the humans and aliens alike, waiting to see how they would react. Eli felt his pulse quicken. "He's not like anything we've seen," he muttered. "Not like any human, any species. He's built for survival, for combat, for something far beyond us." Jara's hands shook slightly as she typed on the console. These pods were not just for preservation. They were for training, for preparation. Whoever humans were, they were warriors. They were meant to survive any threat. Rin swallowed. "And we just woke one." The room was silent except for the hum of the ship's scanners and the soft hiss of the cooling systems. Liam's eyes never left the team, tracking their movements with perfect accuracy. His presence was calm, but it radiated power. Every motion, every glance, every breath seemed deliberate, measured, and in complete control. Eli stepped forward carefully, raising his hands slightly in a universal gesture of peace. "We mean no harm. We come in observation only. We are explorers, not enemies." Liam's gaze did not waver. He did not nod, did not speak. He simply continued to watch, as if he were judging whether these beings were worthy of trust, or if they were a threat to be eliminated. The team waited, tense. Every second stretched like hours. Eli could feel the weight of history pressing down on them. The ruins of human civilization were everywhere, a testament to strength, endurance, and mystery. And now Liam stood before them, a living reminder of what humans had once been, and might still be. After what felt like an eternity, Liam finally spoke. His voice was low, calm, and commanding. "Why are you here?" Eli stepped forward, careful not to appear threatening. "We are explorers. We have seen the warnings left across the galaxy. Every civilization that ignored them vanished. We wanted to understand, to see if humans still exist. We mean no harm." Liam's eyes narrowed slightly, still measuring, still calculating. "The warnings are clear. Every intruder who comes without understanding dies." The team froze. Eli swallowed. "We understand," he said carefully. "That is why we have come with caution. We wish only to observe, not to interfere." Liam's gaze swept across the room again, slow and deliberate. He did not relax. He did not show emotion. He simply watched, considering, deciding. The presence of a single human, one warrior, was enough to make the aliens realize the danger they faced. Eli glanced at the others. "He's aware. More than aware. He knows exactly who we are, what we are, and why we're here. And I think we've underestimated humans. All of us." The room was silent except for the soft hum of the ship's scanners and the occasional creak of the ruined facility settling under its own weight. Liam stood motionless, his eyes sharp and calm, watching the alien team with a focus that made Eli's chest tighten. Every movement the humans and aliens made was measured, careful, but every second felt heavier with the unspoken tension in the air. Eli's hand hovered over the scanner console. "We need to understand him," he said quietly. "We can't just leave him like this. He might be the key to everything, the weapon, the warning, the civilization. We need to scan, learn, analyze." Toby adjusted the interface, fingers moving quickly over the alien controls. "I agree," he said, though unease crept into his voice. "But we must be careful. Any sudden interference might provoke him." Rin leaned close, peering at the console. "It says here the mind scan is possible. We can read thoughts, memories, maybe even history. Imagine what we could learn." Jera's tentacles trembled slightly as she examined the interface. "I don't like this. Every record from other worlds warns against interference. The phrase is clear: never wake the warriors. That means do not probe, do not awaken, do not test. We are ignoring a universal law." Clara's voice cut through the tension, calm but firm. "And yet, here we are. We need answers. If humans are the weapon we've been looking for, hesitation will cost us everything. Start the scan." Eli hesitated. He felt the weight of history pressing on him. Every civilization that ignored the warning had disappeared, and now they were about to do the same. But curiosity, the human desire to understand, burned too brightly. He nodded, reluctantly giving the order. Toby activated the scanning interface. Beams of pale blue light shot from the console, surrounding Liam's head, tracing patterns in the air. The scanners emitted a soft hum as they connected, probing for signals, mapping thought patterns, memories, and instincts. For a moment, nothing happened. Liam's eyes remained calm, steady, almost indifferent, but the air seemed to tighten around him. Then, a sudden flash from the scanner interface lit the room, and a warning appeared on the console. "Do not provoke." The words glowed red, pulsing like a heartbeat. Eli froze, staring at the warning. "Stop," he shouted, but it was too late. Curiosity had already won. Toby hesitated for barely a second, then continued, eyes glued to the interface. The pod that Liam had been resting in hissed and cracked. Frost began to recede from its surface, and with a sound like shattering glass, it opened fully. Liam stepped out, his movements slow at first, deliberate, every muscle coiled like a spring ready to strike. The team stepped back instinctively. The air in the room seemed to shift, charged with something ancient and powerful. Liam's eyes, cold and calculating, scanned the room with precision. He did not speak, but the message was clear. One wrong move, and they would pay. Eli felt a chill run down his spine. "Everyone stay calm. Do not make sudden movements," he whispered, barely audible over the hum of the scanners. Liam's gaze fixed on Toby, the young scientist who had insisted on continuing the scan. Toby's fingers froze over the console, his eyes wide with fear. Every instinct screamed to stop, to retreat, but the situation was already beyond control. Liam moved. Not quickly, but with perfect efficiency. Each step was measured, controlled, silent. The aliens froze. It was not fear. They understood threats constantly, but this was different. This was precision, discipline, and power honed over centuries. Jera's voice shook. He's not just aware. He's calculating everything, our size, our strength, our technology. He knows exactly what we are capable of. Clara, however, seemed unmoved. "We just need to observe," she said calmly, though even she took a careful step back. "Do not provoke. Let him see we mean no harm." Liam stopped a few meters from the team. He crouched slightly, shoulders tight, like a predator assessing prey. The room seemed to shrink around him, the temperature colder, the light sharper. Every small sound, the hum of the scanners, the creak of debris underfoot, echoed ominously. Eli swallowed hard. "Do you feel that?" he asked quietly. "He's alive. Not just awake. He's fully present. And we've just crossed into his domain." Rin whispered, "This is insane. We woke a human and he's terrifying." Toby's fingers shook over the console. "I think the warning was real. This is what they meant. Not a suggestion. Not a story. He is the consequence." Liam's eyes moved to Eli.
Slowly. Precisely.
His stare was piercing, cutting through the nervous energy in the room. He did not speak, but the meaning was clear. Every action, every thought, every decision they made was under scrutiny. Then, with sudden speed that belied his calm demeanor, Liam struck. One movement, a flick of his hand, a step forward, and the scanners on the console toppled, sparks flying. Toby barely had time to scream before Liam's presence loomed over him, powerful and unstoppable. Eli's voice rang out, commanding, but Liam was already in motion. Not attacking to kill, yet every motion was lethal, controlled. He disarmed the scanners, pushed Toby safely aside, and stepped back, testing, observing. The aliens froze, frozen not by fear, but by the knowledge that one misstep could end them. Jara whispered, almost to herself, "He's perfect. Every motion, every calculation he's built to survive, to dominate. And we just woke him." Clara's eyes narrowed. "Then we observe. We learn. Do not make sudden moves." Eli nodded, his heart racing. "Everyone stay calm. Do not make any sudden movement. Let him see we are not a threat." Liam stood tall, surveying the team. His chest rose slowly with each breath, controlled and deliberate. The frost and haze from the pod had disappeared, revealing a figure honed for strength and precision. His body was muscular but lean, balanced perfectly for speed and power. His eyes never left the team, cold, calculating, measuring every threat, every possibility. The room remained silent except for the faint hum of the ship and the soft crackle of damaged debris. No one dared move. Not a step. Not a gesture. The only sound was Liam's breathing, steady and controlled, like a metronome marking the tension in the room. Finally he spoke. His voice was calm, even, and carried authority beyond his words. "Curiosity brings danger. You have crossed the warning. Your presence has been noted. Every action from this point is under observation." Eli's hands rose slowly. "We understand. We meant no harm. We are explorers. We are observing. We do not wish to provoke." Liam's eyes swept across the room once more, sharp and unyielding. Then, without another movement, he stepped back slightly, coiling himself like a spring, ready to act if needed. The implicit threat was clear. One wrong move, one careless action, and the consequences would be immediate and fatal. Toby sank to the floor, trembling. We made the first mistake," he whispered. "We shouldn't have scanned him. We shouldn't have provoked the pod. The warning was real. All those civilizations gone because they ignored it." Rin swallowed hard. "And now we face him." The ground shook under the weight of countless footsteps. The air was alive with a rhythm no one had expected, humans awakening after centuries of waiting. The team from the Aurora's edge barely had time to register what was happening before the ruins around them stirred with life. Eli's eyes widened as he looked over the horizon. Figures moved with precise coordination, flowing through the broken streets and toppled towers like water through a riverbed. Maya, Lucas, Ella, and Noah led them, for humans whose presence seemed to give the rest of their kind order and purpose. Every movement was deliberate, every step measured. They were warriors, trained and disciplined, ready for any threat, any challenge, any battle. "Captain," Jara whispered, clutching the console tightly, "there are hundreds of them, maybe more. They're organized. They're terrifying." Eli swallowed hard.
Yes.
"And we just provoked them. Every civilization that ignored the warning gone. And now we're in their world. We're standing in the middle of their awakening." The humans did not hesitate. From the tops of ruined buildings, they leapt down, landing silently, swiftly, and perfectly. Their weapons were not crude tools, but advanced designs honed over centuries, blending efficiency with lethal intent. Yet it was not just weapons that made them dangerous, it was the way they moved. Their bodies, their minds, their reflexes were all trained, coordinated, and deadly. Rin pressed himself against the side of the ruined wall, staring in disbelief. How can they be this perfect? They've been asleep for centuries. They weren't asleep, Toby said quietly, shaking his head. They were preserved, trained, and prepared. This is exactly what the warning was about. Not some story, not some exaggeration. They are the warriors. From a distance, Liam's voice carried, calm but full of authority. We warned you. The words echoed across the broken streets, a chilling reminder of the consequences of curiosity and arrogance. The team froze. Eli felt the weight of that simple statement press down on them. They had ignored the pattern, crossed the boundaries, and now faced the result. Yet, even as fear gripped them, they had no choice but to move. Clara's voice rang out, steady despite the chaos. Get to the ship.
Now.
Observation only, do not engage. Survival is priority number one. Eli took command, guiding the team through twisting streets, crumbling towers, and rubble-strewn plazas. Yet the humans moved with astonishing speed, cutting off paths and anticipating every possible route the aliens might take. They were everywhere, yet nowhere, a perfect wave of movement that seemed impossible to counter. Maya led a squad that blocked a narrow passageway. Her movements were fluid, a combination of strategy and instinct. Lucas and Ella flanked her, and Noah took a higher vantage point, scanning, analyzing, and guiding the others silently. One of the aliens, a scout named Varn, tried to take a detour around a fallen building. Before he could reach cover, a human leapt from the shadows, landing silently behind him. In a single motion, the human disarmed Varn, neutralized his weapons, and stepped back without harm. Varn froze, trembling. The humans were precise, careful, and deliberate. They did not kill unless necessary, but the threat they posed was absolute. Eli's heart pounded in his chest. Keep moving. Do not stop, he shouted. He glanced over his shoulder. Liam moved among the awakened humans, observing them, guiding them, and keeping perfect control. He was calm, unshakable, and terrifying. The Aurora's Edge's engines roared to life as the team reached the ship. The humans did not stop them from leaving, but their presence was overwhelming. They surrounded the area like a tide of steel and instinct, reclaiming the ruins with perfect coordination. Towers that had once been crumbling seemed to bend under their authority. Streets straightened under their watchful eyes. The land itself appeared to respond to their will. Rin gasped, staring at the humans below. It's like they're rebuilding the world already, just with their presence. Jara shook her head.
No.
They are reclaiming it. They are the rightful rulers of this land. We are the intruders. Every civilization before us failed because they didn't understand that. We are witnessing the consequences of ignoring the warnings. The ship lifted off, climbing into the sky. From above, Eli could see the full scope of the humans' awakening. Hundreds, maybe thousands, now moved with purpose across the ruins. They were not chaotic, not wild. They were disciplined, focused, and deadly. Every squad had a leader. Every movement was calculated. Clara's face was pale, but her voice remained calm. This is beyond anything we expected. But we are alive. Observe, record, and report. This is history and survival. Eli nodded, though his thoughts were heavy. They are not just humans. They are warriors. And we provoked them. This is what the warning meant. Every civilization that ignored it, gone. And now we see why. Liam stood on the highest ruins of what had once been a government building, his eyes scanning the alien ship as it rose into orbit. We warned you, he repeated, voice carrying with calm authority. Curiosity brought you here. Power brought you too close. The price of ignorance is high. The words echoed across the planet, and Eli felt them deep in his chest. The humans had reclaimed the land without struggle. Without effort, they moved across the ruins, restoring order simply by their presence. Their discipline was perfect. Their power absolute. Rin looked at Eli. How can they be like this? How can humans survive and dominate like this after centuries? They were meant for this, Eli said quietly. Prepared, trained, preserved. Every civilization that fell ignored this truth. Humans are not just survivors. They are warriors. And now, they have returned. The alien team watched silently, recording everything, trembling at the sight of humans reclaiming the ruins effortlessly. Even their technology seemed dwarfed by the humans' presence, their discipline and skill unmatched by anything they had encountered. Clara's voice cut through the awe. We live to report. That is our priority. Document everything. Every action, every movement. Do not attempt contact. Do not engage. Eli nodded, guiding the ship through the atmosphere, careful to stay just out of range. Below, humans moved with unmatched precision, reclaiming every street, every building, every fragment of their world. The city that had once been lost to time and nature was alive again, not with life as the aliens knew it, but with power, purpose, and control. Liam remained in view, watching them, assessing them. His calm, deliberate stance reminded the aliens that he was not just one individual. He was the embodiment of humanity's legacy. The warning was not a threat, it was proof. Humans were warriors beyond comprehension, and they had been underestimated. Eli pressed a hand to his console, feeling the full weight of their mistake. We have crossed the line, he whispered. We have awakened something we cannot measure, cannot fight, cannot understand. And yet, we are alive. For now. Jera's voice was quiet, filled with awe. This is history. And we are witnessing it. Humans, the original warriors, have returned. And the galaxy will never forget this day. Outside the viewport, the ruins of the city shimmered with the movement of humans. Earth was quiet. The winds whispered over the forests, and the rivers ran clear through the empty cities. But the silence was different now. It was not the quiet of abandonment or decay. It was a quiet of control, of power, of order restored. Humans had returned to their planet, and the world itself seemed to recognize them. Captain Eli and the remaining crew of the Aurora's Edge floated in orbit, looking down at the planet they had come to explore. Below, the humans moved with purpose, rebuilding in ways that were subtle yet undeniable. Fallen towers were strengthened, bridges reconstructed, and streets cleared, not for convenience, but for precision. Every action was deliberate. Every movement had meaning. Eli leaned back in his chair, his chest heavy. They've claimed it, he said softly. Completely. The warnings were real. They were warriors. And now, they've returned to reclaim what was theirs. Clara's face was pale, but thoughtful. We underestimated them, she said quietly. All those civilizations gone. And we thought we could just observe. But this is beyond anything we imagined. They are not just humans, they are a force of nature. Jara, the linguist, typed rapidly, compiling records of the human actions and behaviors observed. Every motion is precise. Every squad is coordinated. Their awareness is perfect. They are aware of us, and yet we are powerless to influence them. We cannot even communicate with them without their permission. Rin leaned closer to the viewport, eyes wide. It's like they can see everything, control everything, without even trying. Every step, every glance, they know. And they've just begun. Toby shook his head. The warnings from the civilizations we saw before were not exaggerations. They all vanished for a reason. Humans are not just powerful, they are eternal in their vigilance. And the galaxy will never forget that. On the surface, Liam stood atop the highest hill of the restored city, flanked by Maya, Lucas, Ella, and Noah. His eyes scanned the horizon, calm and unyielding. Every human in the city seemed connected to him, guided by discipline, purpose, and instinct. There were no mistakes, no hesitation. Humans were everywhere, yet moving as one. Liam raised his hand slightly, and a subtle command rippled through the human ranks. Machines repaired themselves. Bridges strengthened. Streets cleared. Even the animals of the world seemed to recognize the humans' authority, stepping aside as they moved through the city. Eli could barely comprehend it. They've turned the planet into their fortress, their domain, without even fighting. No weapons drawn, no chaos. Just control. Perfect control. Jara typed furiously, recording every pattern. This is not just strategy. It is instinct. It is evolution perfected. They were waiting for the right moment, and now they are awake. Fully awake. Clara's eyes narrowed. And we were the first to provoke them in centuries. Countless civilizations failed because they underestimated humans. And we are lucky to be alive. Eli looked down at the humans. Lucky or not, the galaxy now knows the truth. Humans are not to be challenged. Not by technology. Not by fleets. Not by armies. They are warriors beyond measure. And we've only seen the beginning. Far across the galaxy, alien fleets that had once dared to explore or conquer worlds were now moving in retreat. Word of Earth's return traveled faster than any signal. Planets once eager to claim territory reconsidered, fleets returned to home systems, and diplomats issued warnings in silence. And every report, every message, carried the same chilling phrase: never wake Earth's warriors. It was no longer just a warning, it was a rule. A law written in the memories of civilizations that had vanished, and now confirmed by those who had survived to see it. Back on Earth, humans continued their work. Maya led squads that mapped every ruined district, restoring structures and clearing hazards. Lucas organized patrols and scouts, ensuring the city remained secure. Ella coordinated logistics, moving supplies and resources efficiently. Noah maintained communications, coordinating across vast distances, ensuring every human acted as part of a single purpose. And Liam remained the comm center. He was the first to awaken, the first to reclaim order, and his presence gave purpose to every other human. He did not need to shout orders. His authority was inherent. Humans followed instinctively, perfectly, as though the planet itself were a reflection of their will. Eli, watching from orbit, felt the weight of history. Humans were no longer just a species. They were a force, a civilization perfected through discipline, survival, and vigilance. The warnings were true. The galaxy had underestimated them. And now, humans would watch, wait, and prepare, unmatched and eternal. Clara's voice was quiet as she spoke into the comms. They've changed everything. Not with violence, not with war. Just by existing. And we are witnesses. Nothing more. Rin shivered. They could destroy us in seconds. And yet they haven't. They're patient, watching, waiting for the right moment. Toby nodded. Patience is part of their power. Humans are not reckless. They are eternal. And they will act only when necessary. The galaxy will never see another force like this. Eli leaned back, exhausted but aware. The warnings weren't just for others. They were for us. For every being that thinks they can measure power they cannot see. We were given a choice, and the choice was to survive, not to challenge. And we survived. Barely. Outside, the humans moved across the planet. Forests, rivers, cities, and plains, they all responded to their presence. Structures repaired themselves. Landscapes reshaped themselves subtly under their careful guidance. They were warriors, but also stewards, guardians, and rulers. And the galaxy learned a lesson it would never forget. In the emptiness of space, the aliens spread the message to every civilization that would listen: never wake Earth's warriors. Some believed it, some ignored it, but all would remember the events they witnessed. Some fleets would retreat entirely, some would reconsider their ambitions, and some would simply whisper in fear. But on Earth, humans did not celebrate. They did not boast. They prepared. They watched. They waited. They were vigilant, eternal, and unmatched. And under Liam's calm authority, they would remain so. Eli finally spoke, voice quiet but full of awe. They are humans, and they're more than we ever imagined. The galaxy cannot challenge them, cannot fight them, cannot escape the truth. They are the warriors the universe warned us about. And Earth is theirs. Clara looked down at the planet from orbit. And this is only the beginning. Humans will endure. Humans will thrive. And the galaxy will never forget. The Aurora's edge pulled away, leaving Earth behind. The humans below moved with purpose, reclaiming their world piece by piece, silent but powerful. The planet was theirs, and the universe had been warned. And the humans, watching from the ruins, forests, and cities, prepared for the future with quiet strength. Vigilant, eternal, unmatched. Earth was silent again. But this time, it was a silence of mastery, of control, and of warriors who had returned to reclaim their home. The stars themselves seemed to recognize the power on that blue planet, the power of a species that no one could ignore. And the galaxy would remember.